Greetings traders, this is Houston Trong from thetradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for July the 27th to the 31st, 2020. And so we got the volatility that we're looking for this past week. As we mentioned in last week's video and the week before that, going into earnings, we're expecting a bit of a volatility, and we certainly got that this past week. The indices pulled back a bit, and we saw some selling in tech. But we'll talk a little more about the charts in a few moments here. But for the next couple weeks, this coming week will be the final trading week of the month. But for the next 2 weeks, we'll be entering to the heart of the earnings season. So there's a lot of earnings coming out next couple weeks, along with a lot of econ news to sprinkle on top of, and so we can expect more volatility here for the next couple of weeks. In terms of the econ calendar for this coming week, we do have a pretty busy one. So on Tuesday, you got that consumer confidence number. People will be watching that. Wednesday, or actually on Tuesday again, the Fed begins their meetings, which on Wednesday conclude, and then you have that, of course, Fed announcement at 2 p.m. and then you actually have the press conference at 2:30. Then on Thursday, you get the big GDP number, that once-a-month number that comes out on Thursday at 8:30. So the GDP number will be one to watch, as well as that jobless claims number coming out at 8:30. So going into Thursday, you got to watch out because those two numbers can definitely shake things up. And the jobs claims number for the second week in a row now has been inching slightly higher. So this is a slight drag now, or negative, on the U.S. economy, because a lot of states haven't gone into lockdown mode yet, but the jobs claims numbers continue to rise, and you now have 20 plus million Americans currently unemployed. So keep watching that story and see and wait if and when that begins to create a drag on the actual stock market, because so far the markets have been shrugging it off. I think a lot of market participants right now are waiting for that big stimulus package to come out or to be approved in the States, and they're talking about $1 trillion plus stimulus package, and the markets will like that very much so if it gets approved. And on the actual earnings calendar front, as I mentioned already, this coming week will be very busy, and then next week afterwards will be even busier. But there's a lot of names reporting. I'm not going to go through all of them, so pull up your earnings calendar on whatever platform you use, StockTwits or I like to use StockTwits and Earnings Whisperer. You can even look on TradingView. There's a bunch of them, or your broker, and just make sure you know what you're trading, because there's a lot of stuff that's trading, and you want to be careful for that. So some of the more important ones, just to give you some of the highlights: AMD on Tuesday, although AMD had a huge run up on Friday. Facebook, Boeing, GE on Wednesday. You got Apple, Amazon, Google on Thursday. Exxon, Nokia, AbbVie on Friday. So there's tons of names reporting, not to mention the week after is even busier. So beware of that earnings risk as we trade this coming week. But this coming week will also be important because, as I said already, it is the final trading week of the month. And so how we close will be interesting, because this will tell us how, going into the month of August, what's the chance of us seeing a larger reversal going into the month of August. And what do I mean by a bigger reversal or major reversal? Let's talk about it. So let's go to the charts now, and let's get into that topic. So first and foremost, we'll begin here, as we always do with the VIX. So we'll talk about VIX and SPY a little more carefully, and then we'll fast forward through the rest of the indices, because they're still very, very correlated. Plus or minus some things here and there, right? Like some of the indices lag a bit, some lead a bit, but for the most part, they all look the same, except for maybe, the Russell, which looks a little bit different than the Dow, the SPY, and the Qs. So let's start here, as we always do, with the high time frame. I want to turn on the log chart so we can see better. But this is what we've been calling for, and we got it this past week. So we're looking for the outside, inside, and down, right? So outside, inside, and down. We got that this past week. It broke below the prior quarter's low. I'm always wary of this, because you always expect anyone who's buying or selling pullbacks or breakdowns, breakouts or breakdowns, you usually know that traditionally when you buy breakdowns or breakouts, they often fail. And so it's usually the first guys who attempt that breakdown or breakout, they often get stopped out first before the actual move happens. So you always want to, in the rare event you're actually, fortunate and it actually works for you, the mind tends to overweight those those experiences, and people continue to try to chase these breakdowns and breakouts. But for the most part, what happens is that you get a breakdown, or it says it's a breakdown in this case. Above here would be a breakout. And the first folks who try that, and they end up getting stopped out because the markets pull back again, kind of backfills, and then it stops out all those weak shorts in this case who got short too early. It's not that they got, it's not a bad level. It's just that the understanding is that, that's just the way the markets work. It moves in waves, and the first wave, as you can imagine, if you try to take out let's pretend we're in World War I, and you're trying to take out a trench on an enemy trench line. Well, the first soldiers, they're typically cannon fodder, right? So those guys, unfortunately, they get stopped out in their attempt. And then you get the next wave of braver soldiers who try it again, and oftentimes it's the second wave that is more effective than that first wave. The first wave obviously does stick with the analogy. They do make some progress. They do weaken the enemy lines, but not enough so to make a real breakthrough. It's usually that second or third wave. It ends up being the stronger wave. So again, thank you for the first line for breaking that initial defense, but again, that first line did get stopped out probably on this small pullback, because that's what happens. People who try breakdowns, if you're the first wave and you're over leveraged, you're going to get stopped out on that first wave. So that's what happened here. This past week we got that outside inside. Now we got the big story out of the way. Outside inside and down. It looked like this on the monthly chart. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. We got the outside and down. So we got Momo down on the month. Okay, so Momo down on the month creates that trigger. So it triggers let's change the scale here. It triggers that outside, inside, and down the quarter, but it popped back up again. So talking about the major reversal. Now, we only have one final week of trading left in the month of July. So let's pretend we just close like this for the month of July. I'm going to move some of these the way so we can see it better. Okay, so let's just pretend that the bar ends like this. To see a larger reversal on the VIX, you need to break above that purple line. So the level here is 36.01. We need to crack above there in the month of August. That means August, opens wherever it opens, somewhere in here, and then it comes back up and breaks through there, and then there's a chance to go to that pivot there. So that would be a larger reversal because it's happening on the monthly time frame. Okay, so that purple line there is what we required in August, right? Because the month of July hasn't closed yet, but if it does close there, let's say the bar closes like this. If you take out that pivot high, that's significant. Same thing, right? Like when we saw what happened in VIX here, look, the monthly charts are very smooth, right? So look, when you took out this high from January, that's a reversal, right? It's a down up reversal. Takes out that pivot high, and look at that multi-month run that basically kept going until that low gets taken out. Then it's been sinking downward. Now you got a Momo down situation. So we're looking for that level, this level here in the month of August. Again, still, we've got 1 week left. Now on the weekly chart, this is what it looks like. So here we go. We had the inside bar, outside bar, and down. Okay, so we filled some gaps that are down to this, down here. We call those gaps. I'll show you the daily chart next here. We talked about last week, but it's Momo down. So here now we'll redraw our levels, because we got that Momo down situation where we were looking to see last week on what side of the range is this thing going to get, is it going to play out on. This past week it goes Momo down. So now this Momo's to the downside. Even though we closed basically flat for the week, VIX is only down minus 1.47%. So if it pops back above there though, that extinguishes that downside momentum. We call that Momo down reversal, and it'll come back up and potentially take out that pivot there. If that takes out that pivot there, remember that is actually July's high. All right, so that's how close things are. It's not that close because that's 36.01 and that's 31.46, so a good $4.50 away. But still, that's something that the VIX could do, because that's only a 10+% move, maybe 12% move, or thereabouts, and that's something the VIX could do if it gets back up here again. So for now, though, that's the level you want to be watching for this coming week. Is do you continue to go this Momo down? That means you don't take out that pivot high and it keeps going downwards. Okay. So on the daily front, this is what we see in the daily, and it was good trading. So here, if you recall the pattern we talked about 2 weeks ago, it was last week actually. Momo up, and then Momo up reversal to the downside, right? Base goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive days in a row of lower lows. So that's a good run there. You had 5 consecutive days. So what happens? If you're shorting down here, you're late to the party, right? Because you've had 5 consecutive lower lows. Look what happens here on Tuesday. So this is Monday, right here. Monday here is the day that it breaks that quarterly level, right? So it broke that quarterly level right there. And then on Tuesday, you had a gap down. As soon as the buyers did this, it was a gap reversal, right? AKA red dog reversal. So if you don't know red dog reversal, you can Google that. Easy to find out. It's a good pattern for the stock market. Doesn't work for cryptos, because the cryptos doesn't have gaps, so you don't see that pattern. It has very few gaps, not because it doesn't have any gaps at all, but it's far less common to have a gap when a market's a 24/7 market. Gaps more often occur when there's either the markets are closed and it opens up at a different level, or there's liquidity issues, and then there's actually gaps in charts because there's no liquidity. But this here is a gap reversal. So basically gaps down, right? A gap down here, open down here, and then it comes back into the range, back into the gap, fills that gap there, and boom, off away. You have a multi-day run, right? So this is a buy, day 2, day 3, it gaps up on Friday, gaps all the way up here on Friday, Momo up, but look, they faded on Friday. So even though the indices were weak on Friday, the VIX was actually weak as well. Yes, it was still a positive day on the VIX, 0.33%, but you have to see here that they actually faded that gap. So they opened it up here, but it came back to the range again. Okay, so this is actually a sell. So even though you have a positive day there and it's positive week, slightly negative week on the VIX, that is a sell signal. So now Momo up, right? Look at that. That black line, 200-day moving average. So you're currently trading below the quarterly open, the monthly open, so that's red, but you had a green week, right? So there's your purple line, that's your weekly open. Actually slightly red. Look, it's slightly right below. You can, it's right on the edge. So all it would take this coming week is if you open up here again and it comes back through the range here, that's Momo up, reversal. I mean, you're reversing this up sequence and coming back to that pivot there. Then once again, you'll be full time from alignment to the downside, because that'll be your monthly open, quarterly open up here, and your weekly open is going to be wherever it is. And if you start trading back below it, it's going to come back to the range, and there potentially is your second wave that allows you to get back into the trade to short this thing to lower levels, because that's a pullback, right? So, look, zoom out now, you can see that it's a traditional pullback. Impulse, move down, right? Pullback, so A, B, potentially a C. If we take out that low down here, it will get the extension. Okay, so there's your VIX heads up there. 2 gap reversals there, right? So this is a nice, awesome you want to be watching for, because gaps are significant, right? So because that people are getting trapped on either side of that gap. So here, gaps down, people get too short, they get too aggressive, right? And they have to cover. Here, they get too long, and the gaps down, and it opens high. And I'm always saying, if you're long and it gaps up and they fade it, you had everything you could ask for, right? You gaps up. The market has to prove that it's going to keep going. In this case here, it didn't. It comes back in again, and if the markets now break below Friday's lows, we're going back down again. Okay, so nice gap, a nice potential upside Momo to the upside reversal. Okay, so there's your daily chart, and on the 2-day chart here, we had a small reversal on this guy. So we had Momo down, right? So we know we had 5 consecutive lower lows. And you see it here on this is a 2-day chart. So look at that. Outside bar is Momo down. Outside bar down, down, down. That's 1, 2, 3 2-day bars. So 6 days of lower lows. Well, not 6 days, but you know what I mean, because it's actually only 5 when you look at the daily chart. But you have basically these three 2-day charts, 2-day bars, excuse me, give you those 6 days. So you got 3 2-day bars, give you lower lows, and then we have a extinguishing of the momentum on this final bar here. So it pops back up, but once again, you see it, right? It cannot stay above that weekly open, and you're still below that quarterly monthly level. There's your VIX chart. Okay, so looking again, it's too early to call it still because July hasn't ended yet, but again, that level there, the high of I'll just put it there for now. The high of July is something you want to watch out for this coming month, going into August. So let's go on SPY now, and now we can show you the quarterly chart there. So on SPY, the quarterly chart, it did it. So right, so now it went outside, inside. I'm just gonna hide this guy for a second here. It went outside, inside, and up. So same thing here. It did break above there, but it pulled back in again, stopping out any weak longs. So we're getting close to those all-time highs. I'm still calling for those all-time highs. Maybe a bit of weakness first before we get there. But in terms of how far we're away, we're only, from Friday's close, about 5.43% away from all-time highs. So not far at all for the SPY. Okay, so now on the monthly chart, what do you got? Inside bar, so this is a Momo down situation. I'm not going to belabor that. You can go back to the old videos and see us talk about all this stuff. But outside bar down, inside bar, and now 1, 2, 3 months of consecutive higher highs. So had a phenomenal run so far with SPY. 3 consecutive months of higher highs. Can't ask for more there. On the weekly chart, it's still Momo up. Okay, so Momo up, up, up. This pivot here took out that pivot there. So that's what we were looking for. We called that. That triggers the, right, that monthly level that causes the outside, inside, and up. We were looking for that last week, saying, yeah, that's going to trigger. And we got that guy. So that's to the upside now. Again, 1, 2, 3 weeks of higher highs on the SPY. Daily chart, a little bit weak. Okay, so daily chart weakened because you got this here. This is the mirror opposite, right, of the VIX. This is why I find it helpful to look at the VIX and the SPY, because looking at those two gives you the ability to see both sides of that picture from different perspectives. So if your mind is long biased, it's nice to see the opposite picture, so you get used to seeing the opposite side. Likewise, if you're short biased, seeing the long side also helps so that you don't fall into any one bias. So here you go. Here's your gap reversal right there, right? You'd open high, all right? So that cracks. So that cracks. Above here, you get the gap reversal, and stayed strong on Wednesday, but then they gave it up on Thursday and Friday. Broke below the weekly open, but still firmly above the monthly quarterly open. Now we got the gap reversal on Friday. Didn't show much strength there, but so it's still down -64%. But you got the outside bar down now. If you break above there, you're going back to those prior highs. Okay, so I'm just going to draw that level. We're looking for that purple line right there. And we want to see simply, do we continue this Momo up situation, right? The Momo up, does keep riding that? Because even though this is a shooting star, we know shooting stars are not significant if they can break it back down and come back up again. So even if it breaks down, if they buy it back right away, then come out the other side and create another outside bar. All right, so there is your Momo down situation. Looking to see, can they take out that pivot high right there? So finally on that 4-hour chart, I just want to show this one final thing in the 4-hour chart. So you can see here on the 2-day chart, it was Momo up. And then this final 2 days of Thursday, Friday, it cut back through the range again. So this is, Momo up, getting extinguished right there. And it keeps coming back to the range, stopping out everyone who got long late. So on that 4-hour chart, I just want to show this picture right there. So here you got a Momo down. So it's Thursday, Friday, right? So that shows you the Momo down situation. So Thursday came back to the range. The AM session here cuts back to the range. So this is actually an inside bar up reversal. Okay, takes that pivot there and then that pivot from this bar here, and then it turns into Momo down. So it goes outside bar down, it's Momo down, down. So it's 2 consecutive lower lows, and now inside bar stalemate. So this looks kind of, if you don't see the bigger perspective, then this looks aggressive. This looks a bit scary. But now you know that if you break a back above there, it's a reversal, right? It extinguishes the momentum and possibly heads back higher again. So that's what you want to be looking for this coming week is, does this Momo down scenario, does it continue on the 4-hour chart, or do they extinguish it by taking out that pivot high right here? Okay, so if they take out the inside bar high on Monday, pops back up again, there's a chance we come back up through there. Now, if it does something more complicated, which is often the case, then you need to just basically watch and see, does this level get held? Does it hold or not? Because that is the weekly low. That's what you want to know, right? So you want to know, does this weekly low hold? Because if it comes back up and all of a sudden comes back through again, it turns into an outside bar, then they can challenge that level there, and that will turn this weekly, it will turn the weekly into a reversal, and that will basically extinguish the Momo up scenario on the weekly chart. So if this is the first time you're tuning in, you'll see that we have this interplay between the different time frames, and so having a clear understanding of how the different time frames are affecting each other can certainly help, with the understanding that the larger time frames certainly rule the nest, lead our biases, but certainly the lower time frames allow us to be a little more agile by being a little bit more responsive or anticipating where things are going to go, how the lower time frames can change the direction of the higher time frames. Okay, so now let's go on to Qs now that we've gone through some of that with more detail, and we'll go a little faster. Q has been on a roll. Momo up on the Qs, right, for 2 consecutive quarters now. Momo up, so 2 consecutive quarters of higher highs. Monthly chart, look at the monthly chart. 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive months of higher highs on the Qs. No sign of that stopping yet, although this may be the beginning, right? So a bigger reversal, you have to wait till August. All right, so this would be significant. Let's pretend that this again is we end July looking like this. Now in August, if you take that low out right there, right, levels 247.08, assuming we close like this, then that turns into a monthly reversal. And look, if you do that, you'll break below the quarterly open as well. So that's a significant level, 247.08. That's what you want to be seeing as kind of that line in the sand, where then if it breaks below there, you can get aggressively short. For now though, even though you had an outside bar right there, it's an outside bar and down. So certainly you extinguished the Momo that we had 2 weeks ago, last week, and now it's gone Momo down. But we know that it doesn't take much to create a, to extinguish the momentum of the downside. Once you break back above there, correct, that's you're gonna have full time frame alignment once again, because there's your monthly, quarterly open, and we can get back to higher highs again. But you can see what happened here back in Q1, right? We had that big sell-off. When you get the bigger sell-offs, everything works with the time frame alignment. So the bigger sell-offs usually have full time frame alignment by definition, has to, because everything starts turning red. So here, this is why you don't have to catch tops, because you have plenty of time to go after it once everything becomes aligned. So look, this is back in March. When you have the inside bar break to the downside, that's when things really fell apart. Get that reversal right there, but you get the real action here, because here it breaks below the monthly open, and there's your quarterly open. And once that gives, it's gone, right? It broke apart. And we know, even watching this, right? Once you cleared the quarterly open here, we had that new quarter, basically that's Q1. Once Q2 hit, it's been a bull market, right? So this certainly bottomed back at the end of Q1, but here is when they really began to take off. It was the beginning of Q2, because then you have full time frame alignment. Since the beginning of Q2, right, we've had no weeks, maybe slight weeks. We had traded below the monthly open, but certainly nothing below the quarterly open. So if you break that quarterly open down here, that will be significant, because that did not happen last quarter. All right, it doesn't happen usually for a long time. Like look at this quarter here, Q4 of 2019 was it held that all quarter. Here's Q1 2020, right? We held it most of the quarter until that week there. Boom. Okay, so let's go a little faster now. So there's our week for the Qs. You want to see it's Momo down right now. So how long does that Momo continue? And for the Qs, again, it did a gap reversal, a red dog reversal both on Tuesday on the short side, and now on Friday to the upside. So this is actually a buy signal here. If you're taking those reversal signals, what you do not want to see if you're a buyer here is you do not want to see that level get taken out. If Friday's low gets taken out, that means this gap reversal fails. Okay, that's a failed gap reversal. So looking for that on the Qs, and just like the SPY chart, we got Momo down. Look, Qs has actually been the weakest of the bunch this past week, because look, starting on this is Tuesday, Momo down, inside bar down. So this whole sequence here, starting on Tuesday, we've had no higher highs. This is a pure Momo down move, and a lot of folks got wrecked in tech. So now, how long and how far does this Momo move continue? You're simply watching the highs, each pivot high, right? Until you get a higher high, that will extinguish that Momo move to the downside. So right there, you're looking for that high or a subsequent high to get taken out for this Momo move to basically get extinguished. There's your Momo down. Now let's talk about down, kind of the same picture as the rest now. What we know to be is that the Dow and the Russell have not gone outside, inside, and up yet on the quarterly. It's outside, inside. Okay, so they're still looking for that red line, the prior month's quarter, to get taken out. Hasn't happened yet. Dow right now is sitting on an inside month, right? So inside, up. So 2 higher highs on the monthly chart, and then currently consolidating monthly chart. Weekly chart, very tight week for the Dow. So this thing here is a small red week, minus 77 basis points for the week, but inside bar. So basically nothing really happened on the Dow this past week. We're still looking for that pivot to get taken out, right? So that's the pivot right there, that high, and that will also trigger the monthly chart. The quarterly chart. Okay, so that will create that outside, inside, and up on the quarter. Looking for that to happen still on the Dow. Still expecting those all-time highs unless you get a reversal. So just watching for that. It's basically to draw that range in. It's a very tight week. So you want to just see now on what side of price, on what side of these lines does price transact, right? Get inside bar up. Does it go inside bar down? Or do you go some sort of variation of that where it goes inside bar up and then back down again, or down and back up again? So watching to see one of those scenarios. Russell has been leading a bit, and that's always worrisome if you're a buyer or a bull, because usually when the Russell leads, it's not good news. It's either late in the cycle and people are getting a little more risk. They're getting more prone to taking risks, and usually that hasn't been ending well when the Russell's been acting strong. But same pattern as the Dow, still outside inside on the quarter, and inside bar up, up, inside on the monthly chart. Weekly chart slowly making its way to take out that pivot. It's kind of like the Dow, similar pattern. It goes outside bar down. Dow had that extra inside week here, but now you've had 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive weeks of higher highs, but you do close that as kind of a shooting star, somewhat, just basically a doji, and now you basically want to see how do you take out that. It's still an inside month, right? So anything can happen. It's still inside month. If you don't break out these ranges, you can get a reversal, but then you might get reversed back up again to take out that pivot high there. There is your Russell, and you do have the same kind of pattern playing out here. We have the outside bar down on the daily chart. So there is your potential for the Russell now to give you an outside bar down, back up again, one more reversal down to the upside reversal if it takes out that pivot high there, and you get back to the highs. Okay, so let's see TSX. How's that been doing? Busy week or quiet week? Pretty tight stuff, right? So TSX was leading the way here because it actually did trigger that outside, inside, and up on the quarterly chart. The monthly chart looks like so. Inside bar, 3 months of higher highs. Now on the weekly chart, you have the continuation of this inside bar. Inside bar, up, up. Okay, so it's still going. It is a red week though, so down 0.78%, but still a higher high created there. Once again, looking to see if this low holds or not, or the high holds or not. So that's the range you're looking for. Tight stuff right now, very tight stuff on TSX. And on TSX, we did get those gap reversals on both sides. So gap reversal on Tuesday, right? So it opens up high and they gap it down. So there's then you have 2 consecutive days of weakness, and on Friday they step back up again. It gaps lower, but then they open up and then they do a gap reversal there on that guy. Okay, so there's your TSX. Emerging markets, how's that faring? There's seems to be that the trade wars and the political intrigue between China and the US has been picking up. So how have the emerging markets been faring? Pretty good still. So they haven't been selling it off yet, which is interesting in itself. But 3-month chart, you do have that outside, inside, and up. That was the first of the indices or the assets that we watched on this video. That's the first time that triggered that pattern. Outside, inside, and up, expecting that pivot high to get taken out. That doesn't happen. That's significant. For now, we're looking for that though. Looking at that pivot high to get taken out. Okay, 1-month chart, still inside, up, up. 3 consecutive months of higher highs. Weekly chart, it's chop city. So it's literally chop city. Momo up, get extinguished, and up again. So it's just going chop back and forth, back and forth. Tight stuff going on there. A little tricky to be trading this because it's very, very tight stuff. The volatility is not high there right now. So emerging markets, looking for that. We do get the buy on Friday. They bought it back. So it actually gapped down on Friday, right? Because news that the U.S. is ordering a Chinese consulate to close, I believe in Houston. And now they bought it back, so gaps down, but they buy it back and create that gap reversal. So that fills, okay. And now expect multiple days of at least 1 or 2 days of strength. Now, if this low gets taken, like we said in with one of the prior assets, that's when you got to watch out because that's a failed gap reversal. But for now, that's the level you want to be watching. Friday's low. So long as it keeps going up here, you don't get another gap reversal. The bias is to the upside on that EM product. Okay, how about bonds? Bonds taking off now. So bonds has been real slow moving. Even just the nature of bonds, but bonds has been in a bull market for a while. Like you can see, this is a quarterly chart. So you've had since here higher high, 1, 2, 3 inside month. So we can go 1, 2, 3, and then that's 3 quarters of higher highs. Then inside quarter, and then another big quarter of inside of higher highs, inside. So how do we break this inside quarter? We got a last quarter. Monthly chart, we saw this, we've been calling it for a while now. Inside bar down, you broke above there. There's your reversal on the monthly chart. So that happened already, right? And now we're going after that pivot right there. Okay, and the weekly chart, remember last week I said outside, inside. This is a very significant pattern. That wasn't just an outside, inside. It was inside, outside, inside, right? So we know it's consolidation, expansion, consolidation again, and the next bar is likely to be, if it continues that pattern, expansion. We got that. So even though it's only up 1.77%, that's a good week for bonds, right? So that is, the bond market being one of the largest markets in the world, that is significant. So outside, inside, and up, and it's going up. Where else do we see this pattern? We saw this outside-inside pattern a lot this past week. I'll show you some more as we go through some names in the fast fire section. But off the top of my head, we also saw that in gold, right? I'll talk about gold next here. We saw it in gold a few weeks ago. That prefaced a multi-week run. This is why we like to see that pattern. And we saw that in some crypto names as well. So for now, let's just go to gold. But for now, yeah, so we'll just keep watching the TLT chart here. I'll just wrap that up here, right? It was inside bar and up. So now you do not want to see this low get taken out. Otherwise, that low indicates if it breaks, that's an inside bar reversal to the short side if you get that on the weekly chart. Okay, but MGC, here's our micro gold futures contract. You know, we saw that outside inside weeks ago now. Man, it feels like a long time ago, but gold has been even a stronger bull market. Look at this, right? It's gone Momo up. So when I say stronger, I mean it's because it's Momo up. It's Momo up, inside up, up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5 consecutive quarters of higher highs, right? So once it broke out of that multi-year, right, this multi-year consolidation period, now it's Momo to the upside. And so on the monthly chart, what we got? Momo up on that as well. So we know Momo up on the quarterly, Momo up on the monthly because it broke above that level there, right? It's Momo up. And on the weekly chart, it went outside, inside, and up. So here, remember, this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 weeks ago, we got that breakout. We were calling, we were watching this thing happen. 5, 6 weeks ago, outside bar, inside bar, that's when you got to get ready. This is, outside bar tells you something just happened, right? And people got stopped out on both sides of the range. It's time to pay attention. Inside bar, something's going to happen because it's going to break out of that. Got that week there when it broke. If you read the emails or check the newsletter, I said gold got that breakout and it was looked like it was uneventful that week, right? But then we finally got that move. Now gold's kicking into full gear. People are getting on board now. And we got the inside bar up now. Now for gold, you do not want, if you're long this thing, you do not want to see that thing somehow break below this past week's low, because that would be significantly weak, right? If all of a sudden it comes back to this range and takes out that low, that's an inside bar reversal to the downside, and that would be significant because then you can break below that quarterly open right there, monthly open. So that would be significant. Don't expect that to happen, but if it does though, you definitely want to be aware of that. So here, what can you say about that pattern on the it's Momo up right now on the quarterly, on the 4-hour chart? Look, inside, outside, and up. So that's Momo up. Again, if you're more short term, then you certainly want to be trailing here and watching to see how long does Momo up situation last, right? How long does it last? And on the 2-day chart, looks like so. Here, outside, inside. See that again? The outside, inside, up. Inside bar and down, inside bar reversal right here, back to the upside again, and there's your multi-day move on MGC. Bitcoin coming back alive again. Crypto markets. Bitcoin's actually the most quiet out of all the coins, to be honest, right now. But I did get back into it. You remember last week I said I got out, but I was going to get back in if it broke that level. The level was 94.41.9. And so Bitcoin's still inside month. Here's the issue with Bitcoin, and I think some of the other coins look better than Bitcoin right now. But Bitcoin still, you got to be long. If you're gonna be in it, you got to be long it. I don't understand people. Well, I do understand people who are trying to short this thing, but I just think that's a losing proposition. Outside, inside, and right now you're green on the quarter, right? So green on the quarter. If you break above that prior quarter's high, it's going to go gangbusters. So they're going to go after that, and that pivot very, very quickly back to 13,000. So on the monthly chart, it's still inside month, all right? So it hasn't really gone anywhere yet. It hasn't got outside of last month's range, but I got into it. So I'm up nicely now on the break, added to it as well. So I'm actually long once again a bunch of coins. I just do Bitcoin like in terms of the analysis because there are literally dozens of coins, not thousands of coins, but I personally trade about 20 plus coins, and I don't want to spend all the whole video going through what each coin looks like. So I give you just the highlights. So Bitcoin, here's again is that pattern, the outside inside, right? And it broke to the upside. I got long on that signal. Okay, I've been staying pretty flat on Bitcoin in my trading accounts for a while now because it's pretty chop city there, and I got in and I got chopped out. And I got back in again. I said last week's video, if it shows to me that I can come back, take up that to 94, sorry, it was 92, 98, sorry, not 94.41. It's the 92, 98 level because that was that inside bar right there. So my apologies for misspeaking there. That 92.98 level. If you can break back above there, I can get back in. And so that's what happened. Got back in again and back in that trade. So right now that trade I think has worked plus 1 hour plus the lower time frame adds. And so that trade is actually looking pretty nice on Bitcoin right now. And at this point here, you're looking for that pivot high to get taken out, right? So there's your outside inside. That is immediately in play. And there, if you can track back above 10,398, that triggers the outside, inside, and up on the quarterly. That will be significant. Let's see how far this thing goes with the new week around the corner. So there's Bitcoin. I'll show you one other nice coin that popped, and so here Bitcoin, I just want to show this one. Yeah, so this is the one I added on. So here's the lower time frame I mentioned. So I got back in when I cracked that 92.98 level. That was here at this level here, right here, right. So this high here is 92.99. Yeah, so I got back in there. So so that's the level I got back in at 92.98, and then I added here because it goes outside, inside. And on the break of that, outside, inside, once again, that pattern, when they work very, very nicely, especially if you understand what's actually happening there underneath the scenes. When I say underneath, I mean fractally. If you actually understand what's going on in that bar, these bars from not just the price action perspective, that's important, obviously, but also just the market perspective, like what's actually happening with these bars. When you actually see what's happening here, that outside, inside becomes a very, very compelling play. In the context of the wider time frame, you don't want to be taking a bunch of outside insides because there can be literally hundreds of them and dozens of them. You don't want to be taking them with no context. That's why I talk about the higher time frames and the time frame alignment and the market structure and all that kind of stuff. You have to put all that stuff in consideration. But this is one price pattern that's very, very nice to watch, because we understand the outside bars that people are getting chopped up in those bars as they're getting people who are long and they're getting stuffed out the bottom of the bar, and people who are short, they're getting stuffed out the top of the bar. So anytime you have an outside bar, it's kind of like resetting that board. I say it all the time. But you get an outside bar, folks who are trading those ranges, they're getting stopped out on either end. And so now the game restarts, right? And so when the game restarts, all of a sudden you have an inside bar afterwards, then it's basically a consolidation bar. So whoever can break that consolidation basically wins the that battle in that time frame. So that outside inside breaks to the upside, and you want to be part of that this way, because that shows you right away if you're really stubborn and you're short, where are you going to put your stop? Right there. And so immediately they go after those guys, right? And anyone who's wrong, they're going to get stopped out fast to the upside. So yeah, back in Bitcoin there, and that's nicely there. Another one I'm in, not to belabor all these things because there's too many coins, but I'm also in Ethereum, which is actually the nicest of all. One of the nicer coins right now, one of the bigger coins. It's a lot of them working very, very well. Shout out to my friend Levski. He's up very nicely on ETP. If you want to pull that one up, ETPUSD, smaller coin, but he's been at one for a long time. We have an ongoing joke about how that thing was going to play out, but congratulations to Levski for holding on to that trade, and that thing is up, probably 50% now. So ETH though, back to the situation here. ETH, look at that. I'll show you the big pattern on that one. Look at that one. Okay, outside, inside, and up now on the quarterly chart. Okay, so there's your Ethereum move. Now they took out that pivot high, and they're going after that one and that one. Ethereum possibility here to go a lot higher. And then this week you got it. It took some time, but they did it. Outside, inside. There's that pattern once again. I should call this video the outside inside video. Talked about so much, but this is a pattern we know very well here. The outside, inside, and up. They consolidate it, makes they force people to be patient. People want money right away, right? They're like, okay, the outside, inside, boom. All right, it's like, then it stalls out. And the people get a little nervous, or they get impatient, or they do whatever, and they don't hold the trade, and they get out of it too early before it actually works. And this week up 23.68% as we speak. So that's a nice move for Ethereum. Once again, this is because it's just kind of like MGC, right? Like the gold product. You don't want to see that low get taken out, because that's an inside bar up. If all of a sudden somehow it breaks back through here, goes down 25%, and you can take out that pivot low and then back down there, but there again. All right, so let's wrap things up now. I'm going to talk about some stocks I'm looking for this coming week, and then we'll do some stars and dogs. So this coming week, here's what worked really well. So I really should call this video the outside inside video, because look at Best Buy. They had a phenomenal week, strong earnings. off the outside inside, right? So outside inside and up on that one. You want to see another outside inside? Here. Off the top of my head. Here, BPOP. Banco Popular, nice week up. It was up quite a bit. It was over 10% at one point during the week on the outside inside break to the upside. We talked about TLT already, right? That did an outside inside to the upside. And we just talked about ETH. So if you don't know the outside inside bar now and the outside inside pattern, now you know that price action pattern. Now CLR, outside inside going into the coming week, double inside bar. So we're definitely expecting some range expansion here very, very soon. Either way, CLR. Let's step away from the outside inside for just a quick second here. Looking at this one, Weight Watchers looks interesting here. You got a double outside bar followed by a break to the upside. That thing here, it's a fractal pattern. It's taking out all these highs now. That high there, did it get taken out? 27.13. Yeah, 29, 27.29. What makes this one interesting here, because on the monthly chart, look, you can possibly take out that pivot high right there. Okay, so inside bar up. Sorry, inside bar up. Now it's consolidating inside the month of July. So people are getting impatient, like, come on, Weight Watchers, do something. Got earnings, though, on July the 3rd. This thing could come back up through there again. So that's a very, very good possibility if the earnings are on point and meet expectations. Because I'm sure the quarterly chart, yes, it is. Outside, inside. And there it is again on the quarterly chart. Back to the weekly chart. Let's do some more outside inside. So, there's so much fun, right? Here, HLT, another one to watch. Inside, outside, inside. Something's going to happen here. HLT earnings on the 3rd. Next, not this coming week, but afterwards. Here, Crocs. I like scanning for these because there's some good potential here. Inside, outside, inside. Setting up for something on Crocs this coming week. Earnings again on the 27th. So just 2 days. Just actually out on Monday, isn't it? Yeah, Monday. So watch out for that one. That's going to crack. Could be a good intraday play because it could be a little too late now to try to get into it. Unless you position size very, very appropriately. Isaiah, this is another inside, outside, inside. It's going to break that. Something's going to happen here. That's going to pop. BLL, another interesting one to watch. Okay, outside, inside with time frame alignment. So that thing is looking good. Zoom, so a lot of Corona names that were doing well, they had to pull back this past week. So Zoom being one of them, had a big outside bar to the downside. Now you want to see this range, right? How does it break this past week's range? Let's put that in purple. It's the color we use to signify our weekly levels. Okay, and that level there. So you want to be watching to see, do we get Momo down on Zoom, or does it go Momo down and reversal back to the upside? TDOC, another popular name. It is an outside inside, so that's one I want to watch. Earnings though coming up right here on Monday. Sorry, is that Monday the 27th? Yeah, it's Monday, right? Yeah. So Monday, watch for the earnings reaction here to Teladoc on Monday. And AMTD, interesting one to watch here. Outside and I think it's down. Yeah, outside and down. You do have earnings coming up. No, earnings was this past week. But here's what I like about it now. Outside bar and down. If you get a Momo reversal above that level, it gets very, very interesting because on the monthly pattern, right? It's coming up. It's coming back potentially back through this range to take out that pivot high and potentially higher. If if things keep going the way it does, and this month may end up as an inside month, it probably will end up as an inside month because that's such a big range here. But if we get a break above this level here on August, we can go after that. So kind of a longer time frame play. We can revisit that in a week or so. What else to look for? Netflix, right? Netflix got hurt this past week, but now, yep. Netflix, is that Netflix? Yeah, so Netflix, yeah. Outside bar up, that was a Momo up, got extinguished right there. So it got extinguished this past week, but it did get, this is not a trade recommendation, but it did get that gap reversal, right? So on Friday, it did the gap reversal here on Netflix. Now waiting to see if this is a multi-day move. This is one of the stock sizes has been leading. So now you want to see, is this the beginning of something bigger, because you do get a weekly reversal, and you got to watch for that core level right there. There's Apple, same thing here. Apple's actually one of the dogs of this past week, and I'll jump the gun here and I'll show it to you. But Apple definitely had a reversal this past week. All right, so here, inside bar up, you got the reversal right there, and it broke below the weekly open, and you're currently trading. There's your quarterly, monthly open right there. Okay, so getting very, very close now to, you see how they bought it back right there? That's a gap reversal as well. So the buyers, they defended. It didn't quite hit the 50-day. That's the purple line right there, the 50-day moving average. The buyers stepped up. They defended that quarterly open, and now they did gap reversal. So expecting Apple here, you want to see how this bar holds. They break below that low here, then that's full time frame line to the downside on Apple. They'll look the same on Netflix if it does that, and that's something you want to look for. All right, so stars and dogs now. Let's wrap things up by talking stars and dogs. Let's first begin with the stars. So Yandex, this thing has been on a roll. Man, this thing has been on a roll. One of the smoothest looking trends on my watch list, and this thing keeps going. GLD, yeah, we talked about gold already. This thing is ripping, and it's picking up speed, right? So GLD, this is again, we've been wondering what's it going to take for gold and these crypto coins that have the potential to be like gold to begin to work. In what business environment or economic environment does it start to work? It's starting to work now, right? These $1 trillion stimulus packages that come out of thin air, I guess it's good for gold. Overstock, kind of a crypto play there. This is one of the smoothest looking trends for a while. This has been on a run. So Overstock, look like, remember, we were saying back in March, it looked like it was going out of business. It's trading at $3, and now we're back to $54. What a move on Overstock. AMD, man, this thing's picked up again. Warning though, there is earnings on, was it 27th, 29th? Sorry, 28th. It had so huge news on Friday. So it actually started here on Wednesday. Look at the volume come up on Wednesday. Somebody already knew, right? So something already knew, and then on Thursday pull it back a bit, and on a Friday it's gone. It was a huge move on Friday. Very nice move on AMD. And home builders, I've been saying how good that sector's been, and you can see home builders really nice smooth trend now since the lows back in March. It's gone from 25 to close to $50, so nearly doubled in terms of an ETF. They Chipotle had earnings this past week. Chipotle home builders here, and yeah, multi-week smooth move. Earnings were positive, so strong move for home builders here. One of the smoother trends for the past 2 weeks. Now weak names, dogs. Nikola, right? So this electric car company maker has not been doing well for the past 3 weeks. Was looking really strong up here, obviously, but now one of the dogs in my group. Citrix, I had been longest name, thankfully got out of it before earnings, and man, they got smashed. So this is the nature of earnings. If you don't meet expectations, they'll punish you. And this multi-week move that it had basically evaporated in 2 sessions, right? So that was down minus 13% on Thursday and down another 2% on Friday. And you can see the volume there. That means anyone who got involved here, from here, look, this is such a nice sequence. Momo up. See that Momo up move? So that's Momo up. And basically, this kick starts the move. So that Momo up move gaps up here, and it's gone. Right? This pull comes back through the entire thing and wipes out all the guys who start that Momo up move. Right? So they all got stopped out on that one shot. Moderna, I mean. So again, another high flyer. Some bad news coming out of it with some patent issues on on this past week. So you do get a gap reversal, right? So there's a gap reversal on Moderna right there. So some interesting thing to watch there now. See if that comes back up. And Snap getting weak. This past week gave up a lot of gains on some earnings that did not meet expectations. And one more name, EA, Electronic Arts, had been a high flyer. This past week it did get weaker. We do have earnings though on the 30th. This might be actually a better thing for it to go into earnings like this versus going into highs like that. So that's a wrap for this week's video. I hope you found this week's video useful. As always, if you enjoy the videos, please give it a big thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up button. That helps us find more viewers. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section on YouTube or head over to the blog, tradingedge.org. You can post your messages there. And if you like these videos a lot, click on subscribe. You'll get notified as soon as they drop. Or if you want to head over to our newsletter, come to the website, add yourself to the newsletter, and you'll get a weekly newsletter from me with this video as well as some other trading perspectives that I share each and every week. So as always, I want to thank you for your time. Had fun doing it this week. As always, hope you stay well, healthy, and happy trading. All the best. Talk to you again next weekend.